Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Brick King Pro Wrestling here at a jam-packed walkabout in Cardiff. It is time to open up the action with a singles contest between two of the mainstays of British professional wrestling. On his way to the ring, ladies and gentlemen, none other than an absolute benchmark of professional wrestling, particularly as pertains to the Southwest. The English Lion, Eddie Ryan. Pure British beast personified, and truly one of the all-time great professionals of our magnificent sport. Eddie Ryan comes into this contest, of course, in magnificent condition, never looked better as the 20-year stalwart of British professional wrestling. The English Lion is prepped and ready to go for what should be an absolutely bombastic opener here in Cardiff.
And introducing his opponent.
Oh, thank you very much to the magnificent Giovanni, of course our MC and host for this afternoon's proceedings here in Cardiff. And Eddie Ryan's opponent knows a little something about working in this venue. Multiple appearances, of course, for so many different promotions, and most importantly, Brick King Pro. The rock star himself, the star of stage and screen, J.D. Knight, on his way to the ring. J.D. Knight, again, another man with an extraordinary amount of experience, a stunning amount of ability inside the squared circle. J.D. Knight has made a name for himself at the expense of so many greats of this business. A true Brick King original in every sense. J.D. Knight has been here pretty much since day one and has been upsetting people pretty much since day one. Has made it very clear, no love lost for the fans of Cardiff especially. Made it very clear to me backstage, had no interest in entertaining the idiots of the walkabout in Cardiff. Those were his words, not mine. J.D. Knight's going to have his hands full, despite all of his ability, against the truly astonishing nature of Eddie Ryan. This English Lion versus star of stage and screen coming right up. It's over to Gio with the announcements.
Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner from Swindon, England, weighing in at 210 pounds, the star of stage and screen, J.D. Knight. And his opponent fighting out of the blue corner from Plymouth, England, weighing in at 232 pounds, the English Lion, Eddie Ryan!
Magnificently announced is, of course, Giovanni Giorgio, and we are set now for a singles contest. One fall to a finish. The English Lion, Eddie Ryan, in the grey trunks and the white boots, versus star of stage and screen himself, J.D. Knight. Currently being tipped over by one of our magnificent officials here at Brick King Pro. J.D. Knight looks supremely confident. He better be, because Eddie Ryan is truly one of the all-time great technicians of our sport. I've had the pleasure of watching Eddie Ryan for the better part of 15 to 20 years now. Truly a magnificent professional wrestler. In many people's estimation, the wrestler's wrestler is Eddie Ryan. Here we go, Eddie Ryan, J.D. Knight, collar and elbow tie at the start. Our action here at a jam-packed walkabout in Cardiff. And already a lot of posturing, and Eddie Ryan backing J.D. Knight into the corner. One of the things that Eddie Ryan certainly doesn't get enough respect for is his power game. Not just a world-class technician. Eddie Ryan is well put together. The best part of 6'2", 6'3". A good 250 pounds of raw animalistic British beef is Eddie Ryan. And headlock applied by J.D. Knight, and a cheap shot there, which went completely undetected by the referee. Looked like it might have been a close fist as well, and Eddie Ryan obviously admonishing the referee, pointing out the fact you've got to keep an eye on that ref. Closed fist, of course, not legal in this professional wrestling contest. And JD Knight looking to test his strength, looking to goad in Eddie Ryan, no doubt here. Knuckle locks soon to be applied, and that's exactly what I'd expect from JD Knight. A cheap shot to the midsection to gain control. Headlock applied. Eddie Ryan sends him off the ropes, and a shoulder tackle. Nothing doing. JD Knight just walks into a wall. JD Knight demanding. Eddie Ryan goes down, and unfortunately for JD Knight, Eddie Ryan is not going to be pushed about by someone the likes of JD Knight, and a shoulder tackle there, and credit to him, JD Knight not shifting easy. Up he goes, big old scoop slam applied by Eddie Ryan. For the roars of one more time from our audience here in Cardiff. Eddie Ryan obviously has different ideas, rolls over JD Knight. He was looking to trip him up, and a beautiful standing drop kick takes out JD Knight once again, and there we go, one more time with a scoop slam again applied by the English Lion. Eddie Ryan already tuning things up, looking for that potential super kick finisher, which has brought him so much joy, but JD Knight rather smartly getting out of dodge in the early goings of this matchup. JD Knight, for a moment there, looked ever so frustrated, now looking to hot dog, and that's not going to serve well against the veteran, the likes of Eddie Ryan, who's looking to drag him into the ring, but Eddie Ryan had his legs swept out. Maybe a mistake standing on that bottom rope, gave JD Knight the opportunity to take a shortcut, and now JD Knight is going to look to take control of this one-on-one matchup. He sends Eddie Ryan smashing into the top turnbuckle. Another one to boot across the ring, and this is what JD Knight likes to do. He likes to slow the pace down. He likes to get quite methodical with his professional wrestling, and now just bringing down all the beats on Eddie Ryan, who's able to escape out the back door. JD Knight's face collided with the top turnbuckle, and now Eddie Ryan says we're going to take him up, no doubt for a suplex. Look at the power on display by Eddie Ryan. Vertical suplex and drills JD Knight to the canvas below. Nothing but a bad landing there for JD Knight, and a 2 count garnered from our official for Eddie Ryan. And the English Lion once again back in command of this matchup and sends JD Knight into the top turnbuckle. No love lost, as I mentioned, between these two men. All business as far as JD Knight is concerned. Knife hits chops by Eddie Ryan, lighting up the star of stage and screen. If you don't believe me, just ask him. He'll be happy to let you know all about his accolades in the business and beyond. Very much in his estimation a Hollywood star, and a big old knife edge chop is going to learn you pretty quickly. Eddie Ryan looks to send JD Knight into the corner. JD Knight puts the brakes on, sends Eddie Ryan crashing into the corner himself, and now looking to apply a scoop down his own, but Eddie Ryan able to escape out the back. Drop the leg, sweeps out JD Knight, sends him crashing into the turnbuckle once again. JD Knight getting particularly familiar, and now looking to escape, I think. The wrath of Eddie Ryan, who catches him flush. Bad position for JD Knight to be in, and Eddie Ryan is going to take full advantage of this, using that big old right boot. And oh man, that's an awkward landing for JD Knight. Crown jewels first, perched on the top rope here at Brick King Pro. And that's certainly not going to help matters. His head with Ryan. Oh, it's technically legal, I guess. And some people might argue JD Knight deserves that. And this crowd obviously red hot, raucous in anticipation of Brick King Pro's return to Cardiff, and very much excited about seeing the English Lion Eddie Ryan rain down some blows on the skull of JD Knight. Looking for 10 of the best is Eddie Ryan, but JD Knight able to counter. Once again, Eddie Ryan seems to have beaten him to the punch, and oh my God, just swept out from the second rope. Precarious position, and JD Knight took full advantage, crashing Eddie Ryan to the floor below, and now dropping that knee right across the face of Eddie Ryan. Pinfall, 2 count only. Brick King Pro, of course, once again back in the walkabout here in Cardiff, and I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, we will be returning very, very soon. Make sure you check out Brick King Pro on all the socials to find out when Brick King Pro will be back in your local venue. Some of the best professional wrestler you could possibly ever hope to see live and in person, as Eddie Ryan would prefer not to see another knife-edge chop from JD Knight with that kind of ferocity. JD Knight now full control of Eddie Ryan, and it looks like very well the momentum has shifted in the singles contest. Eddie Knight looking to build up out of steam, puts the block on. Oh man, dangerously close to a low blow, but the referee checked it and said it was the inner thigh. Clothesline, short arm clothesline from JD Knight. Now pinning combination, applying pressure to the skull, you might notice, with that left hand as well, making it far more difficult for your opponent to kick out. Crowd trying to rally behind the English line, and now look at that gut wrench applied by Eddie Ryan to JD Knight, garners a 2 count. That's beautiful. It just beggars belief how quickly Eddie Ryan can recuperate himself. Looking for the drop kick, but JD Knight put the brakes on, and once again a nasty landing. And you notice that Eddie Ryan is holding the back of his head and neck snapped against the floor as he crashed down. Absolutely nothing doing with that drop kick, no connection, just a vicious landing. And unfortunately for Eddie Ryan, that means that JD Knight can take full control once again. Got his hand around the neck. JD Knight looking for every tiny little bit of an advantage he can get. Lovely short arm clothesline, wipes out Eddie Ryan, and now I think JD Knight is going to look to put an exclamation point on this singles contest as he ascends to the second rope. And JD Knight spending a lot of time there on the second rope. When you've got someone the likes of Eddie Ryan down, you might want to take full advantage. It took way too long. Nobody home on the second rope leg drop, and now Eddie Ryan looking to light up JD Knight with some open palm strikes. Ducks the clothesline, does Eddie Ryan, lovely flying crossbody, catches Knight flush in midair. Eddie Ryan looking to build up a head of steam, splash in the corner to JD Knight. Irish whip reversed by the star on stage and screen, and JD Knight catches him coming in again, but this time Eddie Ryan was wise to it. European uppercut up to the second rope, and a beautiful flying Euro right into the chest of JD Knight, wipes him out, and Eddie Ryan in full ascendancy here in the walkabout in Cardiff. Wrecking Pro doing what it does best. Oh, look out, Eddie Ryan looking for the super kick to finish matters. JD Knight was aware of it, but caught a back elbow for his troubles. Roll up by Eddie Ryan, 2 count only. JD Knight caught in a fireman's carry, bad position to be in, looking desperately to escape, does so out the back door as per usual, and now look how sky high, big old low down crash to the floor, and is that going to be enough? And Eddie Ryan just able to get his shoulder off of the canvas. That absolutely vicious sky high from JD Knight sent Eddie Ryan crashing to the floor, but once again we've seen the resilience of the professional's professional that is the English Lion, Eddie Ryan, and now potentially looking for double unhook DDT maybe with JD Knight. Gets his legs swept out once again, and again Eddie Ryan looking to send JD Knight into the ropes. He was aware of that, put the brakes on, back elbow. Now Eddie Ryan with a super kick out of absolutely nowhere, catches JD flush in the face, and Eddie Ryan picks up a win here in Cardiff. Well, it looked like JD Knight was going to have Eddie Ryan's number, but that is exactly what we were talking about when we mentioned the quality, the disposition of a world-class professional wrestler, the likes of the English Lion, Eddie Ryan, and out of absolutely nowhere, that super kick spelled the end for JD Knight, caught him flush on the chin, and Eddie Ryan has won in the dub column here at Brick King Pro in Cardiff. JD Knight is going to have to weather the storm, try and come back stronger next time out. But for Eddie Ryan, a very strong case being made to move up the ranks here in the men's singles division here at the Walkabout in Cardiff.